Hey everybody, it's Marty, the JavaScript party. I'm a buddy Brett, and do we need to work hard? Is that what needs to happen? Brett thinks we need to work hard. Yeah, that's usually a good idea. But anyways, here we are trying to figure out how to deal with this animation situation. Um, so basically, what we have here is a function, and we kind of set it up inside of our constructor of our component. And the reason we do it this way is because that's how it came in the example from ThreeJS, which is a very like traditional way of doing things in JavaScript. But it doesn't play well with TypeScript very well, or Angular. If you're being well, I guess they're kind of one and the same. Not really from Angular is TypeScript, but TypeScript is not Angular. I guess would be a good way of putting that. But anywho, what we need is to create. I think what I it seems like the next natural step is to create a service that will handle animations, and we'll have a function that accepts a mesh and one of these little animation objects, which the animation object, I believe, has enough information for it to know what what um, what to do. So that is, I think, the next step. Um, like I said, I don't know. I know the very first time I made a run at animations, like I didn't even have the vaguest idea, like how to even describe an animation, what an animation really is, or anything like that. It was very, very mysterious to me. So now I would say that I don't necessarily have any sort of formal understanding of what an animation is, but I definitely have a better idea of what I, what I want. So I guess that's a good step to go in. So anytime I'm going to create something new, I go to package and I say comma, and lately I've been doing interfaces, but here's a good example of a service. Now I don't think. Mm, so that's the good question. Is this like something that lives in three? See, when I was imagining what would go in this three directory would be like anything that interacted directly with ThreeJS. So I think it does because I'm gonna send it a one of my objects and a and then it's gonna use what's in my object. I believe that's what the renderer does too. So that's not the services. So three renderer service. So okay, so it takes an ID and returns an ID. So it doesn't really take, but I think okay. So I do think that the three, everything in the three is sort of the interface. And interface is not a great word. It's sort of the middleman between Three.js and the renderer. So yeah, so I'm gonna do that. Um, and I guess I like how I did this SI for interfaces. So I'm gonna do S, and um, the next thing is going to be animation. And it's kind of weird to me because animations aren't really part of Three.js. So, um, so to me, it seems a little weird. But I get, and I always say, oh, I can always change it later, but it actually is going to be probably um, unlikely. that we will. So I'm making this decision to put the animation inside of ThreeJS, even though ThreeJS doesn't really have animation, but because the animation service will be updating the ThreeJS meshes directly. So let's see. I'm going to call it animation. And see, and meshes aren't the only thing they're going to be animated. So I think making that generic to work and handle meshes or lights or anything else, groups or anything else that I might want to animate makes sense. All right, so anyways, as you can tell, I'm extremely like walking on eggshells here. Run S animation, and then here we go. All right, so 3, and I think that makes sense where it is. So kind of one of my rules of thumb, and I guess we're already kind of out of it, is see, like, okay, I think when you have 4 things in a folder, that you should really start to consider dividing that folder up. And then I think when you have 7 things in a folder, you should really, really strongly consider it like that. And then I think once you get to 10, you absolutely better do it because you're not going to have very many more chances to sort of subdivide. Because then once it gets too big, it just gets unwieldy. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 things in here. Um, so I think probably yeah, in here it seems like we need to divide this into like at least 2 groups. And I'm trying to think of what the 2 groups would be. So I know like camera exists in 3, geometry exists in 3, animation does not exist in 3, material exists in 3, mesh, render, scene, but triple doesn't. So it seems like that might be one way to divide it up. I don't know. We'll have to think about that. But anyways, now we have our animation service, and um, okay, so now we want to use our animation service. So the first thing we'll do is we will use, I think we're already using a service. Yeah, we're using the renderer service. And we use this inject function from Angular. So, and then I think it'll, I don't even know. I probably screwed up. Let's see, did I do that right? Oh yeah, I did it right. I usually end up with animation service service. So I'm happy that I didn't do that. And then equals. I'm thinking that unit tests might be easier now that we do uh, this stuff via directly in the component itself. Um, I remember that was always one of the big challenges. Okay, so I got the blue arrow, so we'll pull that in. All right, so we have our animation service, and so we're going to want a function that accepts this animation and the mesh. Okay, so it'd be like update mesh for animation. So let's do that. Create a function over here, update mesh for animation. And so there'll probably also be like an update light for animation, update group for animation, but maybe not. You know what? I'm gonna say, well, no, because the thing is, so the thing is the thing we pass in, like in this case, we're going to pass in a ThreeJS mesh, right? So we already have, when we create our mesh, it's a 3 mesh. So it's going to take a mesh, and let me see, alt back, mesh, and it's a 3, which I don't believe is, oh, you. Let's see what happens if I could just copy the whole darn thing. Three mesh. Let's see. And comma. Let's see if I get a blue. See, now I got the yellow. Let's see if it does. No, so it doesn't know how. It just doesn't quite, can't guess what I want. So basically, we'll just copy how we did the import here. I think it's just 3. I don't know what this guy's problem is. Oh, that is hilarious. Hilarious. It's like, you can't turn a animation service into a 3 service. So so this is how we want to do this. And then animation service. All right. And then, so now that's one thing we want to take. And then the other thing we want to take is an animation. I don't even remember what that was called. One of these things. I guess I need to go to the typing. An ST animation. We're going to call that an animation. And yep, knew how to find that one. And basically what it's going to do is it's going to inspect the animation. So it's going to be like if, or interrogate the animation dot, and then that's interesting. Okay, so I think, oh, okay, so now it's kind of starting to come together for me. So what we need to know is the type it is, which we know it's a mesh. So I don't know. So basically, we want to know the type, which right now we only support meshes. So we probably should add that to our types, and it probably should live in our animation. We probably should export that. So export type, and then this is what would you call that? Like animatable objects. And right now the only thing we support are meshes. And mesh. And then so in this time, at this point, and I don't think we will I don't think I think we're just going to hard code that at the moment because we know it's for meshes. And I don't know, at some point we may need to go back and make that more programmatic, but at this point, I'm going to just let it be. And then, um, let's see, and that equals mesh. And this should give me yeah, the blue thing. And then I guess I didn't really, oh, okay, animatable. Oh, that's cool. So I was like, oh, do I have to go back but I think, yeah, from our barrel file, we're getting them all. Um, and then, okay, so it says, um, okay, and then I guess we need to know what the property is. Right now, really, and this is a real point of contention because what happens is right now, okay, we have rotation and X, but I know sometimes they're deeper than that, and that was one of the problems. Um, so what we want is the actual uh, a reference to the actual thing we're supposed to update. So I guess this will be a property, and I do not know how to type that. Um, but and then this is equal to I'm just going to do this just to kind of try to wrap my mind around this mesh dot is it rotation? Is that how I do it? Dot x. Okay, so that is like an example of what the property would be. But we really do need to get the property from the animation. And I don't know if this should be a function that lives in animations. I don't think so. I think this is going to be a generalized function. Um, but I don't want to go down that path at this point. So I'm going to say get property for animation. And what it is going to accept is, I think it's going to return, I don't know how to do that in any, but it's going to accept a, whatever this is, an animation. I'm just going to just do this just for help from the dot alias. So it's going to accept this animation alias. And this animation alias is a 3-path alias type. So and then that, and then I'm going to return. Oh, and it's also going to accept the mesh. Basically one of these things. It's like, oh, Lord. So this is going to be weird, right? Because I want to return a reference to that, not the actual value to update. And I don't actually know how to do that now that I think about it. Um, It's like, okay, so maybe this should be update property for animation. Thank you, Rhett. And basically, um, we should loop over our, we should split our alias. So we'll call this constant path, and that's a array of strings. And we are going to get our animation alias, and we're going to split. I believe this is how you do this on dash. And then basically, the first one doesn't matter, right? So const is the type. And maybe that's where we care more about this. It's an animation object. And this is equal to path and 0. And we're probably going to have to force it as unknown, and then as animation object. I believe we need the unknown, but I'm going to double check that real quick. Oh no, okay, so basically I'm saying, hey, believe me, I know you can't tell for sure, but it's mesh. That's the only thing that's in there. And then, so we're going to take our let's see, how can we do this? We can say that we're going to split that. Okay, so, man, I did this in the last one, and I just cannot think of a better way to do that. So if dot length is equal to 3, because there's 3 items, basically we're going to have mesh dash rotation dash x. Right, so so we're going to have those 3 things in here, and basically the property okay, now mesh dot dash, and then we're going to say path 1. Okay, so we're going to say, and this is definitely just me just sort of trying to get this working, prop is equal to path 1. And then I don't know why it's complaining. Let's just get the other piece working. Prop 2 is equal to path dot 2. And then prop 2. So it's so funny that that went away now. Mesh. So it's weird because I can say mesh dot rotation, and I could say const is equal to rotation. And then I could say mesh rotation. Okay, mesh. Oh, R, not rotation, R. Oh my gosh. So, is it because it's not a string, but I can't do prop one? Okay, I'm very confused why this isn't working. It's saying that I can't use that as an index, but I could use R. But one. Is not. So that's weird, right? Because we know that prop one. I wonder if I can do this. Even if I say it is the string of rotation, but if I do this, oh, now it's happy. And it's saying that element implicitly as any type because of type string can't be used. And what if I do this? What if I say that this is a string? It's not happy. If I make this an any, that is wild. But if I don't give it anything, What if I turn this to an any? Oh, now it's happy. Okay, so I'm going to do that just so I make sure we never pass anything in here, and then I'm going to create a new object. I'm just going to say constant update object colon any equals mesh. And then let's see if I can do update object. Okay, so that should be, I believe that this is going to be rotation and whatever the thing is. So if you're lost, I don't blame you. Basically, I'm passing in the three things, which is going to be, let's see if we go over to ST animations, it's going to be mesh dash rotation X. I'm kind of taking that off and making that calling it the type, but we're not using it for anything. And then rotation and then X. And that's what we have in this service here. But the problem is, okay, so now we have this. And so basically I'm just going to say equals, and then I'm going to say plus, and then I'm going to say, oh man, I need the whole animation object, not just because, see, oh, because I was hoping to get that. So, okay, so we're probably, well, I was gonna say we probably should pull this in here, but I really don't want this logic in like I don't mind some separate code for here, but I don't want that up there. But I do need the whole animation. So I'm gonna call this animation and pull this in here. And then animation object is equal to animation dot alias, and then animation alias, I mean, and then it's going to split it up and it's going to add it. And now on our animation alias, we right now all we do is the values, and we only have one, so 0. So basically it's just going to add whatever it has. Okay, so now let's just save that and make sure it compiles. And then really this is just a pass through to update property for animation. And so I'm going to say this dot update property for animation, and we're just going to pass it in the mesh and the animation. And I don't, man, I don't know about this. I think this is better than what I had last time. I don't know if it's great. And I actually don't even know if we're even calling this thing. So, no, we're not. Okay, so now let's just, let's comment this stuff out so we can just make sure. And then, okay, so now it's not working. And so this dot animation service dot update property for nope, wrong way. And that one probably should be update mesh for animation, and then so we could call it directly. I mean, there's no reason that we can't, but mesh comma animation, and then oh, it's working, right? Because yeah, it seems like it's working. So let's just set everything to 0. And oh yeah, those are the two slow ones. So make that 0.5 because we know 0.5 is pretty good. So that's working. 0.5 and 0.5. All right, so now that is working. It's not like polished by any means. We've just gone in and sort of got the bare minimum working with this, and we aren't even scratching the surface of the possibilities of everything that we sort of defined. I don't like this at all, but I can't think of a better way to do that. So yeah, so I'm going to think on that a little bit, and I'm going to, um, I just don't even know. I feel like, is this, I feel like this is a really good point to check things in, to do a commit. I feel really good about everything we have here. Um, I don't think we're done with this branch, this getting started branch, until we have like it's in its own little component and stuff like that. But I think this is a great time to oh, we don't, I guess we don't need this up here. This is a great time to do a commit and just kind of move forward. We're just sort of organically moving forward. I don't know what else to, like there's no like at this point with the animations, I just don't feel very comfortable with this domain. So, it's just sort of um like it's kind of like I've been down I've driven someplace that's sort of complicated, maybe like 10 turns, 8 turns away, and then like I did it once and now I kind of vaguely remember how to do it, but I'm not super confident with that yet. Um, and I just don't really want to have to build this whole thing in scratch just so I can take another lap around and figure out what to do. So, at least if I have to build it from scratch, I don't want to have to do it because of animations. I want to have to do it because of, music or the physics engine or something like that. But I guess that is that. I imagine this video is way too long, 37 minutes. Sorry about that, everybody. Happy coding. Bye.